the very essence of the mental game is this. The only reason an event matters is because we make it matter.
Welcome to the Mullins Farrier Podcast, where I will sit down and converse with the superstars, the overachievers, the masters of our craft. Each episode will be a deep dive into their personal philosophies, their habits, the tools they use, and the secrets to not only their success, but overcoming failure as well.
First, find somebody you can mimic, then find somebody you can stand, and then try to focus on one style until you master that style.
So if you say I can't do something, well, you're absolutely right. But if you say you're going to, you're absolutely right with that too.
People say that you shouldn't define yourself by your work. That is not true.
You know what Dave Farley does when he's, lucky enough to be at the World Equestrian Games? I'm watching other people work.
Yeah.
I don't think we do that enough.
This podcast is for all of you out there who share my passion for the job and the desire to always improve. These interviews will put you in touch with the inner workings of the role models we all want to emulate. So let's get to it.
There's only so many hours in a day, and it's a matter of what you do with them.
Welcome, everyone. A little shopkeeping before we start. The Ontario Farriers Association is hosting their annual convention and competition in Halton Hills on September 22nd to the 24th. Along with a host of other great presenters, the headlining judge and clinician will be none other than Stephen Bean. If you're interested in competing or just coming to check it out, go on to their website at ontariofarriers.ca. Secondly, I would like to recognize someone who has done an incredible amount for her peers in this trade. I know of at least 4 people where she has been involved in helping to keep them going when health, injury, or family tragedy has taken them out of the farrier game for a period of time. She has always done this without accepting any money. She has merely had the afflicted farrier invoice their clients, while she and other folks she has enlisted do the horses to keep them going. Our trade is made better by folks just like her, so I'd like to dedicate a new portion of the podcast to recognizing these good people. If you know of someone who fits the bill on this, please reach out and message me on Facebook, and I'll choose 1 or 2 people to recognize during this portion of an episode. So for this very first installment of the Good On Ya segment, I'd like to say thank you to Allie Carpenter, CF, for all that she has done for all those who needed a helping hand. Today I'm talking to Hank Chisholm, CJF. Hank is the current president of the AFA, and I caught him for an interview when he and Sam Durham were up here in the Great White North to give a pre-cert clinic. Previous to the interview, dinner went a little long, as they tend to do when a bunch of farriers get together. So even though it was late, and Hank and Sam only had a few hours of sleep ahead of them before their journey to the airport, they pressed on with their interviews. As a side note, Hank is a quiet laugher, and this is accentuated by the fact that he would pull the mic away whenever he said or heard something funny. So if it seems like I'm laughing alone at times like a lunatic, I can only assure you that the aforementioned reasons account for this. Anyway, it's a short and sweet one due to our time constraints, but I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. So I'm sitting here in a seedy hotel room where they're charging them by the hour with Hank Chisholm. And he is here. He was teaching the pre-cert course for the AFA. And after a very long journey to get to Canada, he arrived. He did a clinic before that for a group of us at Professional Farrier Supply, and we really appreciate that. It was great to kind of have the introduction, and then he's had 2 more days with a group of us, and now here he is. He's got an early morning, but we're going to grill him with a bunch of questions, and Just really appreciate you doing this, Hank. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me. It was all fun. Travel was a bit sketchy, but we made it.
Yeah.
Clinic was great. The host of the supply house was great. Then we did the pre-certification yesterday and today, myself and Mr. Sam Durham from California, who is an awesome, phenomenal teacher. So it was all good. Tiring, but it was good.
Yeah, I imagine. So when you guys do these things, we were just kind of talking on the way up here. What are the things that make a good clinic for you in a pre-cert?
First and foremost, you want the people to excel in every aspect of it. But end result, the final say is you want all the candidates to be glad they were there.
Yeah. I don't imagine this is a lucrative thing that you guys do. And there's a lot of time invested in doing it. So what makes you guys tick? What brings you out here?
Yeah, the money that we bring in personally is just phenomenal. We do not get paid for this. We get our expenses paid, and that's it. To me, it's worth it. I've been shoeing now for 37 years so far, and I have never asked for help that I didn't receive. So when you can teach somebody something, or they can just watch you do something and it changes their way of thinking and wants them to do better, then it's all worth it.
Right. I first met you at the convention this year, and you were helping with the on-site clinic, right? The forging.
Yeah, the hands-on, which was also affiliated with the certification instructor pre-cert program.
That's right. And it was interesting just even watching you there. There's something you must get out of being able to share it, the skills that you have. So many of you in that, like we just found out tonight, you have a pool of 14 people that you choose from. So all 14 are basically donating that much time and effort to travel all over. And I know it's not always easy, especially coming here. As I mentioned, they're leaving at 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. But the certification process itself, why do you feel so strongly about it?
I think it's a motivator. It is a journey to become better, to service the horse better. Skill level has to go up. Knowledge level has to go up. It's better for the whole industry. Some people say you can use it as a motivator, and I believe that's true. Some people are motivated by it. If you get into the program, you'll realize that it's not just as easy as everybody may think it is.
No.
So there's a lot of practice, a lot of hours of practice, a lot of hours of study, a lot of hours begging somebody to help you. When I came up, these kind of deals didn't exist.
Right.
I did have help, but in different ways. And all the 14 guys that's in this, they're all phenomenal teachers, and they all have the same feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's just good to be able to help people.
Right. Now, in our talk on the day that you did the clinic for us at Professional Farrier, you did a talk, and I was trying to remember the actual word that you used. I think it was professional in something where the components were speed and accuracy. Skilled. That was the word I was trying to figure out this morning when I was thinking about this conversation.
Skilled. I heard Dr. Butler say that. You have to have two things to be skilled: speed and accuracy. You can be accurate but not fast, or you can be fast but not accurate. And then a time test, you need both to become skilled.
Yes. And see, that is one objection I've heard from a few people who didn't want to take the AFA exams. They said, I just don't understand why you have to do it within a time limit. And I personally, before I started this process, I was a slow shoer. Chris Gregory would make fun of me and say that you could time me with a sundial. And so I was so concerned with accuracy and time, I would just let that part go. And I know there were quite a few horses that were not happy with me, and I struggled a lot in my early career because I was keeping them in the cross ties too long and such. And basically through doing this process, I learned ways to be more efficient without shortcutting anything. I just was not pushing myself. Well, after completing it and finding out I could actually pass it, then I thought, well, if I can do it, anybody can. So it was really cool to watch you with Jordan the other day. You had her trim a hind foot. And what was the process you had her go through there?
That was cool. So she would trim the foot, and she would make 2 or 3 rasp strokes, and she would stop, put her tool down, look down the foot, sight the foot, and see where she was at as far as flat level. And then she would work on it some more, and then she would sight it again. And then she would look at it some more, and she would, So on the next foot, I made her just pick the foot up and trim it without looking at the foot.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do that, you have to be confident that your trim is fairly accurate. But when you put the foot down on the ground and stand up, take a breather, go back, pick the foot up. It's like a new set of eyes.
Yeah.
Then I asked her, I said, okay, how's the second foot look? She said, better than the first one. So
yeah,
it's just stuff like that, but it's being pushed out of your comfort zone.
Yes. And it actually pushes you to be more confident in what you already know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it was incredible watching that happen with her. As I was thinking about our conversation today, I was trying to hone in on a few things that you said at the clinic. And there were quite a few sayings I wish I'd written down.
Well, maybe I'm glad you didn't.
But one of the things, you started it out right away with the dissection when you pulled the sole off of that cadaver leg. Would you mind explaining that?
In my opinion, it's the very basis of what we work with every day. When you ask the question, what is the average sole thickness to a crowd, it's kind of astonishing that the numbers of the people that don't know.
Yeah.
For the simple reason they've never pulled sole out of a foot. Well, the sole has one job, protection.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, it's extremely important to know how much you can take and how much you need to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason I do that. And I like to do it before the shoeing. So there's more understanding of why I trim like I trim as far as what I take or what I leave.
Yes. I did a bunch of horses before I met you guys today for dinner, and I've been thinking about it all day. I think those horses are probably a little longer than I normally leave them. It's well worth thinking about. And you even brought up the point when you described it to us the other day that you've seen horses where the sole, it had been removed or something, and that horse was still standing, right? How did that work?
No, I quoted a theory from Dr. Butler.
There we go. Okay, gotcha.
According to him, theoretically, if you were to pull the sole out of a live horse, the question was, what would happen to the coffin bone? His answer was nothing. Just to prove the point that the sole is for protection, it doesn't have any bearing on keeping the coffin bone suspended up in the hoof capsule.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm glad I got that sorted out right before I told a bunch of people you were cutting soles out of horses. But man, that coffin bone never touched the ground once. Speaking of coffin bones, you also talked about founder and the issues coming up with that. How sometimes we want to be a hero, but it isn't always necessarily in our control.
In my opinion, that is correct.
Yeah.
My opinion may not account for much, but I do believe in my experience that it matters not what you do to them. You can do the same thing to 10 horses and you'll get 10 different results.
Mm-hmm.
There's no set, if you shoe this way, then this will happen. And I just don't believe that's the case.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to give up your whole clinic, so I won't ask you every single question about what what you did that day, but maybe we should start at the beginning, because you did mention this, just the value of apprenticeship. And it was based on your story, how you got your start here as a farrier.
Yeah, I worked approximately a year out of school. I went to Oklahoma Horseshoeing School, 1985. I worked about a year on my own, and I ran into a guy that was a very accomplished farrier. His name was David Makoff in Mobile, Alabama. And basically he asked me if I wanted some help, and we came to an agreement, and I asked him what to do, and he said, be at my place at 7 a.m. Monday morning, and I worked full-time for him for 5 years. And that's the best thing that I ever did. Good mentors in an apprenticeship setting will teach you a lot, but the biggest thing is they will hopefully keep you out of trouble. In other words, don't let you do anything crazy to a foot, kind of help you with the business, kind of help you with the, first and foremost, the shoeing for soundness. So, yes, I'm a big advocate of apprenticeships.
Now, you've had apprentices yourself?
Yes.
And quite a few, or?
Yeah, over the years, a few. Not as many as I would have liked, but I've had some good ones, you know.
Okay. And how does an apprenticeship with you work?
Basically, you start out as a slave.
As we all do. Yeah.
No, it's typically it depends on how far along the person is. You know, you just kind of find out where they're at and pick up from there and go forward. Hopefully they don't have a whole lot of bad habits to rewire. Teach them as much as you can. You know, I've always said that you can teach somebody basics of forging. You can teach them basic anatomy. You can teach them trimming, shoeing, pretty much everything in the trade. But you cannot teach experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the part when I say the mentor can keep the apprentice from, you know, doing something crazy.
Right. Now, invariably, mistakes do happen. What do you do in those situations?
Well, the difference in me is the people that work with me, very seldom will they shoe without me standing there watching everything.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't like the deal where we set up on one end of the barn and you set up on the other and they kind of running the show. Because when you go in there as a farrier, the client that you're working for they have my name on there, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Number one, if anything goes wrong, it should be my deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of stay close, not micromanage. But if you see something, it's like, hey, don't do that, but here's why.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Right. I was asking for a friend. No, I've had situations where apprentices have made a mistake or
sure,
whatever.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah. And I've just always said that it was me, basically, in those situations because I am the one that they're paying and the one that them. Yeah, exactly. What got you to then pursue the certification route?
Got around people that were involved with it. This is one of these deals that it's like competition or certification or anything to this level. If you don't know about it, you don't know about it. So if you can get with the right people, like-minded people that want to push themselves, move forward, skill level, knowledge level on a constant, that's kind of what you need to look for.
Mm-hmm. And then around what point in your career did you start that? So
I believe it was 92 when I took the certified. And then I skipped until 97 because there was a long time to prepare for the journeyman test. So 92 CF, 97 CJF.
Okay.
Lots of work, lots of making stuff that people didn't need to see, you know, just getting ready for it.
Right. Yeah.
To be truly ready for the test, there's a lot of work and time that goes into it.
For sure. I've had a few people actually tell me they've heard that you can do the CF and the CJF back to back if you wanted to, because there wasn't an actual time limit between them. And I've had some people say, well, yeah, I'll just do the one on the one day and then I'll do the other the next. And I feel like they're setting themselves up for failure because they think the process is going to be easy.
Yeah, thinking goes along the same lines of assumption.
Yeah,
it's usually a bad idea.
Yeah. I'm amazed at how many times I've heard it. And those same people, I worry, are the ones where they start the CF, they think that's going to be easy. And then once they try to meet those parameters and screw up their fourth or fifth shoe just doing a heel extension or something like that, then they find out that, holy man, this is the CF and this is this difficult. It's unfortunate that I've run into quite a few people who've had that kind of attitude going into it. Now, people will probably know because I will have said it in the introduction, but you are now the president of the AFA.
Yes. You know, I'm doing an interim year.
Right.
when I got voted in for vice president, shortly after, the president at the time resigned, and here we are.
Mm-hmm. And you've made some pretty incredible changes in that time with the help of a lot of other folks.
There's some changes that have happened. I didn't do any of them, to be honest with you. We have some phenomenal people. We have a phenomenal board. We have a phenomenal executive committee. We have phenomenal committee chairmen. We have a phenomenal executive director. And there you have it.
Yeah, a pretty good team.
There's no smoke and mirrors. It's just a lot of people doing some really good work all the time.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think is the secret to that, like having a group like that or getting a group like that together?
Luck. All these people are extremely motivated. They want to see the AFA succeed just as I do.
Mm-hmm.
So far, it's working. You know, some of the stuff that's happened has been brainchilds of past presidents that just happened to come to pass, not because of me, but because of the board that we have. So
Right.
There again, I'm not that important. I guess I would be the complaints department. But it's good. You know, it's
Yeah.
good. I enjoy it.
You're involved with so many different things, including this, the reason you're here in Canada right now with the pre-cert clinics. What inspired you to then pursue all the difficulties that come with politics and working with so many other folks?
Well, it's there again. I believe in the AFA. I want it to see good. I want it to do as good as it can possibly do. I want it good for the future people that come along. As far as being busy, yeah, everybody's busy. And to be honest with you, most of the stuff for the AFA is on the phone.
Right.
Other than this, we're traveling for the AFA for the pre-certification committee and glad to do it. Outside of that, my travel is with FPD, for FPD doing clinics, and really enjoy those because if you can go do a clinic or just these pre-certs, and if you know that you've touched one person and made their outlook change on shoeing, it's all worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How did you get hooked up with FPD?
Not sure. Just talk with one of the reps here and there. They're all friends of mine. Those are great people. Absolutely phenomenal people. And just said, hey, put you on the list and you go do clinics if you want to do that. And I'm like, sure.
Wow.
Here we are.
Yeah. And how often would you do clinics for them?
Not really a set schedule. You know, I've been to, I did the shoe and shop in California in January for Lee Green for FPD. Then I can't remember the months right at the moment, that we went to 3B in Valley, Nebraska for Ian Bevington and Russ Wiggers. That's skipped a week, and then we went to Oleo Acres in Littleton, Colorado. One of the cool things about traveling and going to these clinics is everybody you meet are just genuinely good people.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. You get to help people, and it's fun.
Yeah. Well, back to the topic of being the president of the AFA, you could describe the app though, right?
Yeah, the app is great. It is a free app. It has pretty much everything on it. Every aspect about certification, convention, just on and on and on and on. The certification, the only difference is it has access to the guidebook, but only if you're a paid member. You can still get the app. It's a free app. But if you're trying to get to the certification guidebooks and whatnot, you have to be a paid member. Very easy to use. So when you get to convention in Little Rock, if you have that app, you can just flip it up on your phone and it'll tell you everything about the schedule at Little Rock.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect. Yeah. And having that, I've witnessed it myself, watching a few of my friends go through the certification process. Having that guidebook on your phone and having access to answers to all those questions that tend to pop up as you go through is super handy.
Yeah, it is. And you can buy the guidebook from the AFA. You can call the office and they will ship it to you. But the app offers so much more than just the book. You know, it kind of takes you wherever you need to go within the AFA. But yeah, if you have it and you don't have the book and you are going through the certification process, that book is the guidelines which we have to go by.
Right.
So the more you know the book, the better off you'll be.
Yes, for sure. And there are a lot of specifics in there that if you're doing the process, you definitely want to pay attention to.
Yeah.
I know that some people complain that the prescription that you have to shoe to for some people isn't what they would do. Like if they're doing Florida Fit every day and stuff like that. But I quite like the fact that it makes it so specific that it doesn't matter what examiner you have. You're pretty much going to get the same shot if you go to another state to another certification a week later, even if it's a different examiner.
Our opinions are out of play. We go by this book.
Exactly.
End of story.
Yep. And I imagine that's been pretty tough to hone that in because we all know what farriery is like.
Absolutely. I will be the first to tell you it's not a perfect test, nor will it ever be.
Yeah, it's always progressing.
But it's constantly changing and hopefully for the best. Doesn't matter how many people talk to people about the test. There's always somebody that doesn't believe in the way the test is written, the shoeing prescription in general for the practical part. You know, if they don't like it, they don't like it. So it's our job to explain to them why, in most people's opinion, mine mostly, the certification shoe job is a solid shoe job.
Mm-hmm.
We're not asking you at a test to do therapeutic work on a horse. We're asking you to show us if you have enough skill to fill a prescription.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah. And even you brought this point up the other day. The best way to meet that prescription is to practice, do runs on horses, trying to fulfill that exact prescription.
Exactly.
Because I remember you making the point that if you fit long every day, day in, day out, when you get there on that certification day, you're probably going to fit long.
Yeah, your eye won't allow you to go to a different look.
Yeah.
Immediately. It just won't.
For sure. Especially when you're under duress. You just fall back into old habits, for sure. One of the interesting things that I don't think was done when I did my certification run was the when you guys score the trim, you actually put marker on the front of the foot. You caught on to a trick that I think.
Yeah. Well, it's it's a perimeter fit test.
Yeah.
So after you have your trim scored, we put a marker around the front of the foot, a little on the sides, Sharpie. So we're wanting you to fit this foot. So the less marks that you've rasped off, the better you fit it in most cases.
Mm-hmm. For those who don't know or people getting into it, I was actually asked this question the other day by a vet. What is a perimeter fit?
Not backed up under the foot. So fit is described in certification as from the widest point of the foot forward. Okay. From the widest point back is length and expansion. So perimeter fit, you want it out and around the front of the foot, fit to the end of the hoof wall.
So that's having an even distance out from the white line of horn all the way through the toe and
yes,
and back, right? I had a vet who wasn't sure what perimeter fit meant, and that was what I was trying to explain.
Well, it's just the perimeter of something. You know, you're going to put a fence around it. You're going to put a fence around the perimeter, not through the perimeter.
Yeah. I think for vets in especially that world, especially the hunter-jumper world, they're used to the backed up shoes all the time. So when they see that, it seems strange to them.
True. But it's also easier to back a shoe up, in my opinion, than it is to make a perimeter fit.
It sure is. And it wasn't until I figured out how to properly shape a shoe that I figured that out. Yeah. But it was amazing how much better my feet looked after I started doing it.
Right. And I'm not telling you that in my practice that I don't set shoes back. If I need help with a hoof capsule or a certain pathology, different shoe modifications, whatever it may be, if the situation allows it, I will fit perimeter fit.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things you had brought up at the clinic was the idea of using your dividers. And that was something I'd heard before, but it didn't stick with me until I saw you do it.
This is information from like years ago. Dr. George Platt figured out that if you find the true apex of the frog, the point of the frog, and you measure back to the highest, widest point of the frog and put dividers on it to get that measurement, transfer that measurement from the hairline to the ground at the dorsal hoof wall, it should fall, give or take, within 1/8 of an inch of that same measurement.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good tool to have to keep you from getting a horse too short to make him sore. You know?
Right. At that point, you're digging into the sole and taking away that cushion. And you actually brought up a pretty good story of a client that hired you and fired you on the same day.
Yeah. Yeah. Never touched a horse. The owner had, and it was a mindset that, and had been told by who, I have no idea, that the horse had to be shot every 4 weeks. Well, the horse was like 5 weeks. I looked at it at a show. I go through a 45-minute, hour-long spiel as to why I would not shoe the horse, because it was shorter than I would have trimmed it if it needed trimming. And, so that was it. I was fired. I'm like, okay.
So in those situations, we had asked at the time, like, what do you do when you have a client or a vet that is requesting something that is beyond what you believe is good for the horse? And what's your advice for a situation like that?
Well, first and foremost, I'm gonna back up a little bit. I'm a huge advocate of vet-farrier relations. Okay? You have to have a team. If one of us is not on the same page, the horse is the loser.
Mm-hmm.
The vets that I work with at home are super good to work with. We come up with a game plan. If one of us doesn't agree, we explain why we don't agree. You know, it's not like, hey, I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I have come upon people over the years that you simply cannot reason with. And it is my advice just to remove yourself out of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's usually a no-win deal.
Yeah. And you had some pretty good advice for when you do disagree about not discussing it in front of the client.
Exactly. If myself and the vet disagrees, we're going somewhere around the barn and say, hey, I'm not doing this. But if I tell the vet I'm not doing this, I'm going to explain to him why I'm not doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same token, I expect him to treat me the same way.
Right.
But you never discuss that in front of the client. You either get it worked out or you don't. But when you come back from around there, everybody's happy. Hey, we've decided we're going to do this, and here we go.
Yeah.
If you cannot agree and get on the same page, smile, say, hey, thanks, I'm out. If I can help you later, give me a call.
Yeah. Just keep that relationship open, right?
As
and
best
not closing
you can.
doors. Yeah.
Because everybody's, it's just human nature. You cannot please everybody.
Mm-mm. I get in those situations and I find it hard. My ego wants to show that I know what's right or whatever. And I get what you're saying. Where just walking away and saying, hey, I think you should get somebody else to do this or whatever, it does keep the professional relationship open, because you're going to cross paths with that vet again.
Sooner or later. Yes.
Yeah. And you don't want to do it with bad blood on your hands.
No.
Well, actually, this is something that I've found where I will actually skip the client as an intermediary when there is something said by the vet, because I've had so many times that game of telephone, the client will have spoken to the vet gave them some advice or whatever, a description, a prognosis, whatever, and then it is relayed to me by the client. And I've learned now to just quickly excuse myself for a minute and see if I can get a hold of the vet.
The middle man or woman should be removed.
Yeah.
Not withheld information from, but the vet and the farrier need to communicate one-to-one. Just take out the middleman. You need to know exactly what the vet says, what his diagnosis is, or her shoeing protocol, whole list, blah, blah, blah. Then everybody can know. But the misinformation is just, it's horrible between owners, trainers, whoever it may be.
Yeah.
The barn help, although everybody's good people and everybody wants a horse better, you need to know, you need to converse with the vet yourself as the farrier.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was your take on therapeutic shoes, because it's something that in the farrier world, we've had a lot of products and theories pushed on us for a while now. And I really liked your KISS approach, your keep it simple, stupid. And you had walked us over to that wall of the fancy shoes that did everything.
Yeah, they only do everything if the substrate, the footing is right.
Yeah.
That's out of our control. It's pretty much up to the owner.
Yeah.
You know, it's a 3-part system. First, correct diagnosis. Second, shoeing protocol to accepted knowledge of the day. Do those shoes work? They help, yes, but they only help in their correct footing.
Mm-hmm.
Time in the stall rest, hand walking, whatever it may be. You know, if a vet says, hey, this horse needs to be out of work for 6 months, he did not mean 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
He meant 6 months. You know, so it's a back to the team player deal. But if you don't have the correct footing, some of the shoes that are used today for flotation, they don't do anything.
Yeah. Well, you threw that one shoe, the dispensary shoe, on the concrete floor.
Yeah.
Pretty much made the point.
It does nothing. It just sits there.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the footing.
Yeah. And I liked your concept of where it's time in the end.
Absolutely. If it's healable, time heals it.
Yeah. And we're often the therapeutic, air quotes, shoes that we put on, basically giving that structure that's injured or needs to heal time.
Yeah. We are
right?
facilitators of healing at best. Time is the healer.
Right. It was funny because I had never thought of it that way. It sounds so simple when you say it, but yeah, I never really considered it that way. Is there anything you'd like to cover?
The AFA is doing good. I hope it continues to do better. I will do my part to make it as good as it can be. I'm surrounded by great people. Knock on wood, so far so good. Move forward.
Well, we look forward to seeing the stuff that comes out of that group. This portion of the podcast is called the Stratum Tectorium. These are the short answer, surface stuff questions, but it's okay if the guest wants to go deeper. Enjoy. So what's your favorite book?
Anything to do with related to shoeing. Don't really have a favorite.
Okay. Favorite brand of nails?
Liberty.
Do you use the copper ones?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So why do you use the copper nails? I get chirped on this a lot.
So, I mean, it depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
I work for some people that just love the color of them.
Yeah.
I work for some people that say they're easier to see when they sweeping them up.
Okay.
I use them because most of my clients ask for them.
Oh, okay.
And I use them. One thing about me, if I don't like it, I don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good nail. I use the hybrid nails. I use the combo 5s, whatever, the combo nail, whatever size it may be. And they just do a good job.
Okay. Do you believe in the properties, like the antibacterial properties that it...
I believe in a certain foot.
Yep.
It may help.
Yeah. Have you ever found when you pull shoes off that sometimes you've actually got copper that has moved and pooled on the shoe?
So I do know that you'll get a black ring around the conventional nail, the steel nail, which the copper nail is a steel nail just coated.
Mm-hmm.
And those rings are typically black, dark. And I've noticed that most of those go away with copper.
Yeah. I'm glad we covered that then. What shoe sizes do you generally have to stock the most of?
I carry double aughts through 5s.
Okay. And this would be like a DF size? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. And do you hand make shoes for your rig?
I do. Not a lot. 99% of everything I put on are machine made. I'll make my bar shoes, some therapeutic shoes that I may need.
Okay. What's your favorite make of rasp?
I use the Bellotta top level.
Okay. Do you have a dream farrier rig?
One that works by itself. No, I mean, it's the rig that I have now is really, really nice. It's a stone wheel trailer. You could have 100 rigs and you will always build another one a bit different.
That's true.
You know, but the one I have now I like.
Now, is it a walk around or walk in?
Around.
Okay. What's your favorite rounding hammer?
I use Jim Poor. But I mean, a hammer is a hammer. There's a ton of good hammers out there.
Mm-hmm.
Today, Sam and I, yesterday mostly, we spent all day going anvil to anvil to anvil and using the candidate's tools.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter. It's a rock and a stick. You know, the hammers I use every day right now are made by Jim Poor, and I love them. The hammers that we used this weekend, who knows who made them, you know?
Yeah.
And they got the job done.
Right. I always find that interesting when you're doing a hands-on clinic with somebody and they will take the tool that you feel like you're struggling with and then they just show you how it still works no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Been blaming the anvil all day long.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. What's your favorite type of bar stock to work with?
Typically on the quarter horse types, smaller foot, from alt up to 1 or 2 or something, usually 3/8, 3/4.
Okay. Do you work with concave much?
Very little.
What's your favorite pastime after work?
What is that? It's time to sleep maybe until I got to leave again to go for shoe horses.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys that's kind of done everything. I love to fish, love to play golf, but work-wise, it's just hard to do anything.
Yeah. You do keep a busy schedule by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
What's the next thing on your bucket list?
There's one of those things too, huh? Haven't really thought about it.
Okay.
Actually, it's probably whatever my wife tells me is on that list.
Okay. The bucket list and a honeydew list are the same thing. What's your favorite brand of keg shoe?
Kirkhart.
Ideal number of horses to shoe all around in one day?
Oh, Lord. If I had to pick and choose ideal, 5.
And on average, how long does it take you to shoe a horse all around? Like with new shoes?
45 minutes to an hour.
Okay. Favorite anvil?
Emerson.
Just like me. Favorite inspirational quote? You had so many great ones on Friday, but I didn't write any of them down.
Yeah, and I forgot them.
Do you have a farrier terrier? A dog that travels with you.
A farrier terrier.
Yeah.
I guess you could call him that. Yeah, I have a Jack Russell.
Okay. Yep. Wow. He's even a terrier. If you're stumped on a case or need backup, who do you call?
Anybody I have to.
Okay.
I tell the people that work with me or have worked with me, you do not be ashamed to call anybody you need to.
Yeah. It's good
If
advice.
it's a buddy down the road, if it's somebody in the UK, if it's somebody in California, if it's you, somebody somewhere has seen something that you have not at one point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you do whatever. And there's no shame in telling the owner, I do not know. But if you will give me just a moment, I will find out.
Right. The call a friend option.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite shoe or package for mystery lameness when you don't have a diagnosis or
That's a great question because mystery diagnosis just make me mad.
Yep.
I believe in normal. Normal is different to each individual. I try to get them to normal as best as possible. Remove levers, forces on the foot that I think are unnecessary. Put mechanics in shoes, making sure the horse has ample sole thickness, has a foot in normal parameters. And if I can achieve that, then you spend the rest of the time hunting somebody to give you a diagnosis.
Right. That's a good answer. What do you use as your planner? Because I don't know how you keep track of all the places you're going or been or.
My wife.
Gotcha. So does she do a lot of your business, the business side of things?
She keeps up with the with who's doing who's
Okay.
not. We both kind of go through that. She'll hand me a list, and I'll know where that week's got to go, and I'll get it sorted out from there.
Okay. Back home, is it usually 5 weeks, 6 weeks? What's your normal cycle?
Average is 5.
Okay.
I have some at 4, some at 6.
Okay. Favorite method of soothing aches and pains?
The only true way, in my opinion, is to rest.
Yeah. Just like the horses.
It's hard to do, but
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's something you do a lot. Favorite drink?
water. I don't like soft drinks. Not a big fan of Gatorade or tea or anything like that.
Okay. I thought you would have said Allie's drink. I don't even remember what it was called. New York Sour. I thought that's what was going to be your clear answer there.
No. No.
Favorite genre of music?
Not sure there is a favorite. I can tell you there's some that are definitely not favorites,
Oh, okay.
but I listen to a lot of country and a lot of old school rock, Southern rock.
Yeah. Do you work out?
No. Should I? Yes.
What would you have been if not a farrier?
Well, it's kind of like that song Luke Combs said. If I wasn't doing this, I guess I'd still be doing this. Yeah, I mean, I love what I do.
Yeah, clearly.
It's kind of weird, as beat up as you feel in the mornings when you get up and everything on you hurts and you get aggravated a lot of days. I still love what I do.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell.
There you go. And the final question, if you were stuck in a shop for a month with somebody, who would you want it to be?
Daniel Jones.
Cool. Your teammate on the draft class, right?
Correct.
Well, thank you very much, Hank. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
No, thank you. I've enjoyed this, and thank you for doing what you do.
I'm sure the audience is quite aware. I'm really fond of the certification process, so I push it any way I can on anybody who will listen. So
Well, that's awesome.
it's just great to have you guys here. I know it's a sacrifice, and even though it doesn't seem like it is to you guys, it's appreciated that you guys come out here all the way up to Canada.
Thank you very much.